The NFL draft can be an exciting time of the year for football fans, especially if your personal favorite team sucks. It can be one of the only highlights of an otherwise crappy year, and give hope to a fan base that was just disappointed 17 weeks in a row. However, sometimes that hope ends up leading to an even larger disappointment when that football savior ends up doing more harm than good. Today, on the very first episode of Football Lore, we're going to be talking about some of the largest busts in NFL history. One of the most disappointing football draft picks of all time unfortunately has to go to Ryan Leaf, who was chosen second overall by the San Diego Chargers in the 1998 NFL Draft. The first overall pick of the same draft just happened to be Peyton Manning, and at the time, there was some serious debate about who would go on to have the better NFL career. Obviously, now that seems insane, considering that Peyton Manning is, well, Peyton Manning, and Ryan Leaf ended up out of the league in just 4 years. The first game he played was a 16-14 loss, in which he threw 2 interceptions and 0 touchdowns. The very first pass he threw was intercepted, and it seemed to be an omen of things to come. On-the-field performance was not his only issue. Off the field, he had repeated clashes with teammates, reporters, and coaches. He became notorious as difficult to work with, and the on-field performance didn't make up for the locker room disruptions. After the Chargers cut him in 2001, he attempted to play with the Buccaneers and Cowboys, but couldn't pass his physical. His final career quarterback rating was an abysmally low 50, and he ended his career with just 14 touchdowns to 36 interceptions. After the NFL, he had a string of interactions with the law, but appears to have gotten his life together currently, working as an analyst for multiple football shows, and as an advocate for those struggling with substance issues. Sticking with the quarterback position, it's literally impossible to talk about NFL draft busts without talking about Jamarcus Russell. Jamarcus Russell was drafted with the first overall pick in the 2007 draft by the Oakland Raiders, but even before the draft, there had been concerns regarding his commitment to football and off-field behavior. There was a positive test result for codeine, weight control issues, and a lack of effort to even learn basic playbooks. Usually, for a player to be able to have this many issues and maintain an NFL career, the prospect has to be enormously talented. Jamarcus, however, was just not able to perform at the professional level the way he had in college. His natural ability most likely would have given him an incredible NFL career, but a total lack of commitment to the game only let his skill level get so far. This culminated in 2010 when he was arrested for possession of codeine and released from the Raiders shortly after. His NFL career stats were a QBR of 65.2, 18 touchdown passes, and 23 interceptions. Since his exit from the NFL, he's also gotten his life together. He currently is the quarterback coach at the high school in his hometown. He speaks about wanting to be a positive influence in players' lives the way he wishes coaches would have helped him during his professional career. And it appears that he's practicing exactly what he preaches now. Moving on from the quarterback position, we have to talk about Justin Blackmon. The wide receiver was drafted 5th overall in the 2012 draft by the Jacksonville Jaguars. This one's equally as frustrating as Jamarcus Russell, because it's less about being bad at football and more about I just don't want to focus on football instead. Between being drafted and receiving his first pass, he was arrested for driving under the influence in June of 2012. Despite this, he managed to put up impressive numbers as a rookie, and the organization said they were getting him the support he needed. Justin Blackmon's first year in the league was truly phenomenal. He raked in 64 catches for 865 yards and 5 touchdowns. However, this trajectory was derailed when in 2013 he received a suspension from the NFL due to their substance abuse policy. His performance when he was on the field that year was impressive. In just 4 games, he managed to rake in 29 catches for over 400 yards and a touchdown. He couldn't manage to keep himself out of trouble, and even after his suspension, had another infraction with the NFL over substances during the Jaguars' bye week and was suspended indefinitely without pay until he could get reinstated. He never played another down in the NFL again following this, and even though he attempted to secure a contract in the CFL, it never came to fruition. He continued to have issues with the law for a short period, but hasn't had any since the year 2015. Not a ton's known about what he's up to now, but he was introduced to the Oklahoma State University Hall of Fame in 2023, and he's had no interactions with the law since, so it appears he's gotten his life together, which at the end of the day is more important than football. 4th on the list is Matt Leinart, now better known for being a great football analyst and legendary college quarterback. There was a time where some thought he could be an NFL legend as well. The Arizona Cardinals ended up drafting Matt with the 10th overall pick in the 2006 NFL Draft, and it was first thought he could sit behind veteran Kurt Warner and learn the game before eventually taking over. Fate had other plans. In just 3 games in the 2006 NFL season, it was announced Leinart would be taken over due to Warner's poor performance. The remainder of that season wasn't great, but he did have some standout performances. Against the Vikings, he threw for 400 yards and won his Week 16 game against the 49ers, even though he would end up leaving with an injury. At this point, no one was ready to call Leinart a bust, but the remainder of his career was the definition of forgettable. He was benched during his second season opener in favor of Kurt Warner, but managed to win his job back again during the next week. His performance was okay, but he received another injury during a game against the Rams and was out for the season. His third season saw him once again earning the starting spot, before immediately losing it after throwing 3 interceptions to the Oakland Raiders in 1 quarter during the third preseason game. He never really managed to get himself back in a starting role again, but did bounce from team to team as a capable backup quarterback, making millions. Honestly, he did have an okay career, but expectations were just unrealistically high due to how good he was at USC. The last player I want to talk about today is Joey Harrington. He was drafted 3rd overall in 2002 by the Detroit Lions. Immediately, the press started calling him the savior of Detroit and implying that he would single-handedly revive a franchise on life support. That's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie quarterback, especially one with a brand new head coach as well. Joey ended up taking over halfway through a Week 1 loss when the veteran starter meant for him to learn behind. Played so badly he had to be replaced. He ended up leading the Lions to a 3-13 record with 12 touchdowns to 16 interceptions his first year, and floated around those production numbers for most of his starting career. His best year came in 2004, when he threw for 19 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and 3,000 yards. In 2005, he was benched in favor of veteran Jeff Garcia, and he just never really regained a starting role after that. He did bounce from team to team for a few years and made millions of dollars doing it, so kudos to him. However, he never really did live up to the savior of Detroit expectations put on him. Today, he owns several business ventures, a nonprofit, has worked in production, and has a podcast about Oregon Ducks football with other Oregon legends. Obviously, there's an element of chance whenever you take a player high in the draft, but statistically speaking, you have a higher chance of being disappointed than ending up with the next Peyton Manning. I think it's also important to remember that these players aren't just characters in the new Madden. Sure, they had a crappy NFL career filled with bad stats and performances. However, I don't think they deserve a crappy life. Being a legendary draft bust is probably bad enough. If you like this video and want to support the channel, feel free to like and subscribe. Be sure to comment what your personal favorite draft bust is. I'll be replying to every comment I can for a while. And most importantly, be sure to turn on notifications if you're subscribing to never miss another video. Thank you, and have a good one.